Hey folks, this is Soul with another episode of Leak Season, where I give gutter level foot and mouth reactions to the so-called leaks of WoW's upcoming expansion. If you're feeling it with this sort of content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and also use the navigation bar to go where you want to go, because I'm gonna rant or I'm gonna kind of bloviate for a little bit. Because I received a handful of comments that, predictably, criticize how not seriously I'm taking all of these leaks. So I'm going to respond to a little bit of that and give an example of a leak that turned out to be real. Now, most fingers are pointing to the Dragon Isles as the setting for the next WoW expansion. And that's certainly plausible, more than plausible actually, because of the numerous hints and references to the Dragon Isles and to dragons. Like, there is a very tiny reference in 9.2 data mining, which that part I'm not going to spoil. I'll let you look that one up on your own. I'm just letting you know that I did a little bit of homework at least. There are references to the Dragon Isles in the Exploring Kalimdor book, which I haven't read yet. There is a mention of it during the Battle for Azeroth expansion, that Wrathion is trying to find these islands. And basically in-game references alone confirm its existence, so we're left to wonder not if, but when will we visit this place. And many, like myself, we've gotten the hint from the Dragon Bundle released a few weeks ago. In a fantasy world without a global pandemic and a well-behaved Blizzard, we would have seen WoW's next expansion announced back in November. And the Dragon Bundle would have made total sense because it would back up a dragon sort of expansion. It's not just that though. Recently unearthed 915 game files, which are already in our computers, strongly hint that pre-order cosmetic bonuses are just waiting to be unlocked, and there are associated files that refer to dragons. When it comes to the upcoming expansion, it's a question of what, why, and how. What is the setting going to be? Why are we going there? And how does it all go down? Dragon Isles are super plausible. The fun of leak season, though, comes from the why and how that are almost 100% made up. Like, do you remember that picture of Stormwind Harbor, where there are a bunch of ghosty looking NPCs and stuff? Remember the leaked map with the Greek theme zone, and folks thought that it was Ian Hezekiah stroking his ego? Now I can almost feel some of you wanting to respond to those remarks like, hey, you know, those leaks, they could have been real. And then when people reacted strongly to it, because obviously they put these leaks out to gauge our interest, right? Blizzard pulled back. So you don't really know, Soul. You don't know. You see, I'm getting used to what copium means. But before we start, I want to cover a leak that turned out to be true. Let's put some context behind it. This leak was posted early November of 2013, less than 1 week before BlizzCon, where Warlords of Draenor was announced. So let's read on. All right, thank you, MMO Champion, for remembering everything from, oh goodness, 8 years ago. Boy. Possible leak, Soulgate, or Scrolls of Lore Gate. Long story short, someone apparently posted some leaked info and it got taken down quickly. Was it one of the ones that's already been posted or something else entirely? Stuff goes down at about page, whatever. No new class or races. All of this is pre-Demon Blood, so no humans, with the Draenor being the main alliance force. Garrosh goes back in time and stops his father from drinking the demon's blood, and Gul'dan is banished. He brings technology from the current time to reinforce the Horde. Ner'zhul uses this and rises to power once more, not really, to try and gain Garrosh's trust in the Iron Horde. This Iron Horde forbids demon magic, but it's pretty likely Gul'dan may end up summoning the Legion still even on his own. We get there via the Time Walkers. I don't know how exactly Garrosh gets to the past yet, but his escape is explained in an upcoming short story, which was released, I think, 6 or 7 months after this post was made, with the start being his trial. And now we're seeing pretty much the plot of the War Crimes book. Garrosh says he regrets nothing while laughing crazily, but Anduin still believes he can be redeemed. Bane wants to personally execute Garrosh, and Jaina is still her raging self. Eventually, it comes to that scene that we see in Timeless Isle Quest with Anduin talking to Garrosh. I don't know the rest of the story yet, but it's likely Anduin and Zayla help Garrosh escape. all of which I believe happened. There was supposed to be a 5-5. It was supposed to be 2 scenarios showing Garrosh's escape, but since they're short on time, it was scrapped for the above story, with maybe parts ending up in 6-0. I really wish we had that. It was also to tie into the Timeless Isle. The original story for the expansion, this is interesting, was that Garrosh was banished to Outland, but managed to get this artifact from of Nosdormu. He used the artifact to summon the great heroes of the Horde, and then remakes Draenor with the artifact pulling in new land masses that just tears things up even more. This was later scrapped for time travel. Bummer. The alliance starts in Shadowmoon, and their capital is Karabor, which is similar to Terakar now. Karabor looks like how it does in the TBC trailer, with a comma but brighter. The Horde starting zone is a new zone west of Blade's Edge in the Frostwolf homeland, where their capital is a captured ogre stronghold city. The zone itself is a tundra. Netherstorm is Farallon, but will be released in a future patch. Hellfire is a jungle where Garrosh is constructing the Dark Portal so he can invade Azeroth and make things right. Zangar is a sea full of giant mushrooms. Shattrath is taken over by the Iron Horde and is a raid along with Auchendoun as being a dungeon and raid. Bummer. The other raids are the Blackrock Clan Citadel and the Ogre Stronghold. The first dungeon in the Horde starting zone and is an Ogre dungeon cave where we rescue slaves. The zone south of Terakar is the capital of the Arakoa and is where their palace is located. It's like Terakar, but has a lot more tree houses than flying Arakoa. Maybe they end up doing something for their old god. There's some new tiger rays, but well, no details. The Iron Horde was dominated, and the Grond uses them as giant siege mounts similar to the mammoths in Lord of the Rings. The Warlords are all the chieftains of the old Horde, with Durotan being the only good guy. Some of the main heroes of the expansion are Velen, not sure if it's Velen meeting himself or the past Velen, Barad, Vol'jin, Thrall, Durotan, and some Dwarf and Tauren. There's the continent southwest of Draenor, which is the homeland of the ogres. Now, it's a little bit weird deconstructing a leak that turns out to be real, but let's kind of like go back and just kind of study what makes a good leak. So that way, this is me training some folks how to make a good and convincing leak. So here are some attributes that just kind of come to mind after reading through this out loud. I read this on my own, but I read it. Now that I read it out loud, kind of some reactions to this. Notice that this leak doesn't say anything about game systems. It doesn't say anything about, hey, when you level, you get these perks, or hey, there's this thing called a garrison that you get that's going to pretty much dominate this entire expansion. That's something that you would figure, hey, why doesn't this person mention this at all? And that kind of backs up the notion that when it comes to WoW development, or, you know, just like a lot of development, a lot of information is like kind of self-contained in these small things. The person who knows all this stuff, apparently it's all story and lore related, because he knows the plot of the War Crimes book months before it came out. He knows like the basic premise of the expansion. He knows about some of the raid content, because I'm sure that when they were writing all these stories, they were also divvying things up and be like, okay, that's going to be a dungeon, this is going to be a raid, let's make stories around these sorts of areas and places. So that kind of tells you where this particular person, or where this leak came from. This came from like quest design, narrative design, something like that. And really that's all it takes. And this was very, very specific. Now, looking at this, some of the information ends up being wrong, because this is a year before the actual launch of the expansion, where Farallon got scrapped, the Shattrath raid, that didn't turn out. Didn't quite turn out. Even a little bits of the story, like Ner'zhul rising to power, Garrosh's involvement, what he does, some of those things end up getting scrapped too. But the takeaway that I have from this is that at one point, all of these things were true according to the person who learned this information, like at that time. And this is kind of this obviously is the blueprint from which all leaks ought to come from. The kind of vibe, the kind of tone, the amount of information that we get, and how closed off this information is from everything else. Like, notice we don't hear anything about how PvP gear is going to work. I mentioned the garrison. I mentioned things like group finder and collections and stuff like that. This person didn't know jack about that stuff. And so pretty much any leak that you're going to see that mentions more than what one person would normally know is going to be full of crap. Sorry, guys. That said, though, we're still here to have fun with League season, because reading through all this stuff is still super fun, and it's super fun to react to, even if it sounds like I'm like dogging them. It's mostly because they're super fake. But we're all just trying to have a good time, all right? Is that okay? I hope so. If not, well, go ahead and leave your comment and all that stuff anyway. So let's begin. Let's get right to it. We got two things for today's episode of Leak Season, beyond the true one that we just read off. So let's go. WoW 10.0-13.0. Damn, I haven't read these, by the way. Debunking the leaks. Are we gonna get three? Okay, we're not gonna get 3 expansions worth in just this. Okay, so after reading all of the different leaks, I have to praise the creators for their creativity and fan fiction. So I am unfortunate not to have a super detailed Discord chat where everyone can give all the detailed leaks, but I do have information how and who I obviously will not share. Of course. This guy mains a blood off. Swear. Shadowlands is a setup expansion for the next 4 expansions, as well as a closing for the Story of Death. Damn, so we're gonna get 4 expansions of Shadowlands / Death stuff. Okay, here we go. So this person presumes that they have the next 4 something or other expansions on lock. This is it. No room to deviate, even though in the past they kind of have, I believe. I believe Legion was supposed to take place much earlier in the World of Warcraft timeline, but ended up being pushed back. I think it was because of Demon Hunters, but oh well. Anyway, 10.0 Azeroth. 10.0 expansion will not have a big story, but rather many smaller ones. The Covenant were an experiment. Experiment, but will be improved upon and transferred to the 10.0. The races will be each their own covenant with a new leveling experience. Please. I think I've said numerous times that the premise of, people in the afterlife who are trying to move on. Yeah, guys, here's an idea of moving on. Let's go to Azeroth and take place in part of these stupid mortal conflicts. Yeah, great idea. Yeah, it sounds fun. Classes will have huge changes to them, and each class. Actually, hold. I got to rip on this a little bit more. Races are going to have their own covenant with a new leveling. These racers are going to level. These people have lived for eons, tens of thousands of something or other years. Kleia is old, right? You think, there's old, and then there's Senegos, and then there's Kleia, right? That's kind of the, come on, dude. Classes will have huge changes to them, and each class will delve into their own history, lore, and be the driving force for the setup of future expansions. I would like that. I would like to have a lot more exploration into our class lore. I know that there was like the whole Legion thing, but then that was like, let's look at Legion from the lens of each of the classes, right? I get that. I want to look at the history of the paladins and the shaman and the rogues and stuff like that, and really start getting into like centralized stories of that. Of course, I'm not too fond of splitting up stories like that in such a way that it kind of waters down the total experience, unless you're a person who plays like all 12 classes, all 36 specializations and all that. But I'd love, I love lines like this. Factions will stay Horde and Alliance, but story-wise, you will want to play both. It kind of gives a BFA vibe, which is, I didn't end up playing my Alliance character until like the very, very, very end. So, expansions 10 through 13, huge changes to gameplay are coming. Wow, really? It's gonna change over the course of 3 expansions? No way. Please tell me it's gonna stay the exact same. The core will be the same, but it will be faster, more reactive, and more action-based. Ooh, like 3-button MOBA stuff. All All classes will have a DPS, tank, and heal spec. Come on. It'd be cool to have warlock healers. I will heal you with the power of destruction. You know, sorry, dude. Nah, I'm good. Or like, you know, succubus mend. They just wrap you up in bandages and kiss you to full life. It'll kiss you to life. I don't know. Expansions 11 and 12 will be off of Azeroth, and 13 will be the last time we will visit Azeroth as we know it, the conclusion of the next story, whatever that means. So 11 and 12, they have no idea. This person doesn't have any idea what's going to happen, but yeah, it's going to be off Azeroth, but 13 will be the last time we visit Azeroth as we know it. So if someone knows that sort of information, they probably should know why. They'd have some inkling why, or this person would hear from the person that told them why are they eventually going to leave. The controversial change. Oh, so now we're getting now we're getting to the controversial changes. The dev team is not impressed at all by Final Fantasy gameplay wise. They do not see a challenger. Oh, this is like such projection. Wow. You guys say I'm a big shill for WoW. Come on now. The inside jokes are as soon as the players finish the story, they will leave it. I didn't write this. I did not. I did not write this leak. Okay, it's not me. Rather than focusing on Final Fantasy, they have taken huge inspirations from Guild Wars, more projection, questing, and mounts especially. They want to use this idea, but make it with Blizzard quality and improve it. I don't even know what that is. So, yeah, tell me what it is. Flying. ... Wow, why is it like this? This is a very big nitpick for me. Look at this. I'm so sorry for wasting your guys' time nitpicking on this, but look at the ellipses. There's like two that are bigger than the other. Like, and I'm sorry. Flying will be available always, but the zones won't make you want to fly in them. Flying will be good to fly between zones, but in zones it seems like they'll create obstacles. Not really sure what or how, but a teaser was you'd be attacked now while flying, both from players or mobs. Peace out. P.S. Huge announcement before Q1 is over from Blizzard. Surprise, surprise. This is like a 2.5 out of 10. All right, this is not, not very good effort here. The controversial changes, right? Yeah, really strong reactions for this one. This one doesn't even have more than a few comments on it. Yeah, it didn't even make it to like 2 pages. So even MMO Champion was just like womp womp womp. All right, so here's the bigger one, I think. Okay, 3 pages so far. How many pages? We got 4 pages. Okay, so this one's kind of starting to take off. Okay, 10-0. Return of the Dragon Isles leak. I was a dev on WoW until just last week. I've been with Blizzard for over a decade and I've always wanted to do this. Here's the next expansion. That's the dumbest, if this is true. This is the dumbest dev ever. I was a dev on one, so it's not like, now it's no secret that there are people who are leaving that are leaving Blizzard and the WoW team and whatnot, but how do you out yourself by saying, yeah, I was dev on WoW until just last week? Any idiot with the slightest hint of forensic curiosity is going to find out who this person is. So why even try to hide yourself? Because that was dumb. Did this person edit their own post at all? No, they didn't. They never edited their post. This person was just like, YOLO, F my career, not important, but I'm going to be a leaker. I'm going to get that clout. Obviously, we have been working. Okay, he says he quit, but he's talking like he's still part of the team. Obviously, we've been working on this since before Shadowlands launched, and the original schedule was to have it announced at BlizzCon 2021. As you know, live BlizzCons aren't possible right now, and Return of the Dragon Isles, RDI, oh, I like that. He's using his code thing. When really, what they should be doing is games that are in development, they're usually given code names. I don't know off the top of my head what sorts of code names were given to previous expansions, but you don't go around the office calling something RDI. You don't do that. That's a lesson for for future leakers. Give it a code name, and that will. It's not going to give cred, but it'll help protect you from nitpicky callouts like what I'm doing right now. Return of Dragon Isles was set to be the main announcement at a February 2022 BlizzCon line before that was also canceled. Other games that were due to be revealed are way behind, so they shelved the event. Instead, there will be, because the devs really pay attention to what the online live events team does. But anyway, is there even still a live events team? Instead, there will be a standalone reveal in March, soon after the 9.2 release. Plausible, but I'm thinking, not sure. Shadowlands ending. At the end of the SFO raid, the jailer is defeated, and the cinematic shows the heroes with a little help from a certain banshee. This guy is so cheeky. Guy or girl? Sorry. Leaks are gender neutral. Use the power of the sepulcher that Zaval was trying to harness against him, unmaking him into his original prototype state. Interesting, considering what we've seen from data mining. So Sylvanas surrenders herself over to the judgment of Tyrande, who foregoes revenge and demands only one thing: that the Ranger General spend her days helping all those she wronged and putting right everything she helped destroy. Sylvanas agrees and vows to begin with Nathan. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna fix everyone. Let me start with the only thing that I really care about. Bye. She just kind of yeets off. Later, dudes. Okay, I get that. I can totally see Tyrande like showing mercy and letting Sylvanas like survive or whatever, but no, I don't see her being condemned to help all of those she wronged and yada yada yada, because there's the relationship between two fellow leaders, Tyrande and Sylvanas, and then there's the regular folk. You put someone like Sylvanas out there in chains in front of the people who she pretty much genocided. Oh, are they going to be as kind as their high priestess / queen or whoever, Tyrande? Probably not. They're probably gonna like beat her senseless in most cases. And if this was definitely an 18 and over game, 18 and over things would probably happen. I'd rather just see her get vaporized by like the Arbiter or whatever. Return to the Dragon Isles. Returning is an important part of the expansion. We return to Azeroth, we return to some abandoned cities, and the Dragon Isles make their dramatic return. We also hope players see it as a return to form after the disappointing reception of... This is some weird projection shit going on. After the disappointing reception of Shadowlands. I guess if there was a dev who... even devs who leave, they don't badmouth their games. They still say something along the lines of, we're proud of what we did, we made mistakes, blah, blah, blah. We're not happy with the direct. They're very political on that. Something like this, even anonymously, I don't think they would do that. And the Dragon Isles never left. We never knew about the Dragon Isles before this anyway, right? All right, new continent, the Dragon Isles. Surprise! Yeah, Zaval failed in his attempts to use the power of Azeroth's World Soul to unmake the cycle of life and death, but he caused enough damage to rouse an ancient force. The slumbering Dragon Isles have awoken. Now it wakes up. How and why exactly the Isles have magically reappeared between Zandalar and the Maelstrom is explained in the leveling story, but the Isles themselves have been separate and untouched for thousands of years. As such, are like a WoW version of the Galapagos Islands, a place where evolution took its own course, filled with incredible and exotic beasts. That's cool. That's a neat concept. The giant cat mount on the store is one of the new creatures you'll see, which seems awkward, as well as huge tortoises, birds of paradise, a new race of humanoids that are inspired by giant marine iguanas who are feeding what they think is an old god in one of the old temples in their zone. So it's not untouched. There are indigenous things in there. Okay, one zone is full of penguins, and of course, the dragons. These dragons come in different colors, but don't belong to any of the dragon flights. They're ancient and see themselves as superior to other life on the planet. That's weird. Okay, I'll try to read on for a change, though. They refuse to lower themselves to taking humanoid forms and look down on Rathian and the other dragons that do, whereas some are able to be won over and become allies. The blood dragons of the Shattered Peaks, the max level zone, believe Azeroth can only be saved with themselves in charge. They plan to birth the World Soul, which they call Mother. They are the main enemies in the first part of the expansion. There are new dragon models, really detailed and gnarled looking, and some are absolutely massive. Now this looks cool. The headcanon and the imagination in me, it's going, and I'm seeing cool things. The one thing that I'm not super convinced about is dragons not being part of the dragon flights, because oh boy, here's me trying to flex my memory here. Dragons weren't just born dragons. They started off as these proto-drakes, right? And then there was a big fight between, the pre-aspect proto-drake people and big dudes like Galakron. And then after all that stuff was over, and they had the Titans help, the Titans were like, hey dude, we're gonna hook some of you guys up. And then the Fireflights were like, yeah, hook us up, dude. Bwang. And then they became the colored Dragonflights. So these aren't dragons, they're proto-dragons or proto-drakes, or I think there's a difference between them, so I apologize. But yeah, these aren't dragons, they're proto-drake peoples. So to me, that kind of makes us fall apart lore-wise, doesn't it? They see themselves as superior. They don't. Yeah, I don't recall if the proto-dragons back then took humanoid forms at all, if they were able to. Like, they weren't empowered with like magic cool stuff or anything, were they? Yeah, so I'm not, without doing some deep research on this, it's just like some of the previous leaks. I'm not very convinced by the lore on this. Now, of course, if this is real and Blizzard wants to like rewrite stuff, what's stopping them? Nothing. So let's just move on for now. Features, because of course this person knows all the features. Return to Teldrassil and the Undercity. This is the big feature of the expansion. Okay, well, this is real. This is a real one. Cool. I'm kind of surprised that this is the first one that's the first leak of the season that has mentioned player housing. So let's see what this person has to offer. Players help to rebuild and repopulate the two cities. We're going to help your city repopulate through fornication. Absolutely. Players help to rebuild and repopulate in a system that is comparable to player housing in ESO, as in there are set plots which are phased for each player. Totally makes sense to me. It's kind of the cheap way to go, but it makes sense, unfortunately. The first location is given free as part of the questing, and other more impressive and meaningful locations can be unlocked with special achievements tied to raiding, Mythic Plus, PvP, etc. I hope there's a lot more etc, because that would piss a lot of people off, because not everyone raids, or does Mythic Plus, or does PvP. They mostly etc. The player fills them with trophies from boss kills, weapon transmogs on their weapon rack, and furniture that's made by crafters. New profession, carpentry. Very imaginative. It's a big part of this, and in general, all professions in RDI have a ton of new player housing items they can make. Apart from cooking fires and anvils, etc., all furniture is purely aesthetic. There are no mines or herb gardens or banks available like in WoD Garrison. So this adopts a lot of what I think a lot of folks like myself would want in more traditional player housing, as in it doesn't have those sorts of utilities that the garrison had. It's purely aesthetic. The one thing that I firmly disagree with is that this person is wording it as a big feature of the expansion when it should be kind of this more evergreen, hey, this is the thing that you're going to get, this is it. Because the way that it's written here, it's something that is related to current story. When I believe very strongly that it should be something that's accessible very, very early on, if everyone's just going to get one for free. Anyway, as the expansion goes on, so the 2 cities are rebuilt. The new designs and assets look amazing. The idea is that in subsequent expansions, other locations can be made available as and when. Currently penciled in are Borealis, Dazar Lore, and Grizzly Hills. I guess they're talking about player housing still. I am opposed to this though. As the expansion goes on, the 2 cities are rebuilt. So that's like saying, hey, art team, you're going to not only are you going to remake the Undercity, you're going to remake it 3 times over the course of patches, so we can show this progression as the city is rebuilt. I'd be mad because they'd be making this city and then it would literally be gone. All that work would be just wiped over as soon as you play through more of it. And I get that, on your alts you can see like the path, that's great, but it also just kind of I think as an artist I'd be pissed if I was told something like this. Lots of zones are being updated in the old world with assets that are being made for player housing. So trees and buildings in places like Elwyn Forest, Westfall, Ashenvale, Eastern Plaguelands, and so on will find themselves what we are calling internally soft updated. That's a weird thing to point out. We're calling this soft updated internally. I know terms, guys. I totally know terms. Yeah, a little awkward there, but oh well. New race and class. Dark Rangers, of course. Horde Dark Rangers are the Red Elves that you know and love. Alliance get the Forsaken Night Elves that are raised at Darkshore. Yeah, totally has something to do with Dragon Isles. 2 specs, ranged and melee. That's it. Based on high mobility and simple fast rotations. The real twist is that each spec has different abilities available to use depending on whether they have leather or mail armor equipped. So this class, depending on if they want to go range and melee, not only do they need to have different armor, let's talk about this at a high end level. Not only do they need to have gear tailored for whatever their best secondary stat is, but also they need a straight up different armor type if they are going ranged or melee. That would piss people off. I wouldn't be surprised if some folks were like, screw it, dude, I'm just gonna stick with leather and I'll take the 5% hit to stats. That would piss people off. With Undercity being repopulated and and rebuilt, the Forsaken have lots of secondary story focus in RDI, and undead Night Elf Rangers being welcomed back into Teldrassil. What? Wait, no, you don't do that. When a tree goes down and it comes back up, it's not the same tree, right? Can you level with me on this one, viewers? Like, I don't buy into the idea that they're going to restore Teldrassil. No, just let it smolder there. There's a lot of bad memories. You don't build on top of that. That's like building on top of a burial ground, dude. That's not a good idea. Yeah, sounds like this leak part was not well thought out. It's a big plot point that mirrors Toronto's merciful actions towards Sylvanas. I'm becoming less and less sold by this one. New raid, the Shattered Peaks. Stunning locations built around the jagged mountains of the Blood Dragons Zone. blood dragons are huge and hate mortals, but they also love gold and have huge fire refineries. So dragon-sized refineries built by dragons. How well do dragons build things when they don't go humanoid? I'm not familiar with. I mean, I'm thinking of like Dragonblight and other such things, and I don't recall who built, the tower. I'm sorry, guys. I don't remember the name of that big tower where so much of that raid takes place in Dragonblight. But yeah, I know that a lot, some of the places like that dragons have taken over in Twilight Highlands, those were built by dwarves, if I recall correctly. But I think I might be like so wrong on that. It just seems like they love gold and they have huge fire refineries. Okay. There may just be a creeping fell influence hiding under the surface there too. One fight sees the sky filled with hundreds of dragons. The final boss fight of the raid is High Prophet Zubika, the ancient ruler of the Isles, which sets up the more cosmic, 10.1. Time walking. To all time walking dungeons and raids, and there are lots being more made available, are permanently open and are scaled to level 50. The new level cap is 70. It's a popular one. Time walking tokens can now be used to buy just about every transmog set, weapon, and raid drop mount for each expansion from the appropriate vendor. There are some exceptions to this. There's no invincible on the vendor, but Tusks of Manaroth are currently planned to be. Every 2 weeks, a different expansion will be the focus of the event, which gives extra rewards for completing the appropriate dungeons and raids. It's weird that they call it time walking then. Because there's a difference because I guess what's weird is that they're going to do something with time walking, which pretty much kills the need for party sync. If I'm imagining their whole thing with time walking is that, you queue up and everyone does time walking. Everyone keeps their own power. Everyone keeps their abilities and that sort of stuff. Because I know there's a lot of folks that are opposed to that sort of level syncing, like party sync in WoW, leveling duties and stuff in Final Fantasy XIV, where if you join a low level thing, then you are scaled down and you lose your abilities and powers and talents or whatever because you're not at that level. So I get some of the hesitance on a feature having a system like that, but it's weird that this asserts that they're going to kind of scrap party sync, at least in instances. In outdoor world, I guess that's fine still, whatever. Dragon scale gear, the main max level progression system. Players are given a dragon scale from each of the 5 dragon flights, each of which awards a new ability. These scales fit onto a special new armor slot on the UI and can be leveled through currency gained from all gameplay activities and even crafting. Only one scale can be equipped at a time. So I'm trying to imagine this. I'll read the rest. The Black Dragon scale is a PvP ability. The Green scale is a healing survival ability, and so on and so forth. I'll be honest, this still needs a bit of work. Wow, what a way to walk it back. It's like, oh man, I can't think of a good one. Okay, I'll just add this. I'll be honest, this still needs a bit of work, but it's kind of thing that the beta and player feedback should really help with. Just a quick tip for leak writers. There's pre-alpha, and then there's alpha, and then there's beta. So don't miss that. Don't miss that one, guys. Let's see. Players are given a dragon scale. So you're given a gem. Let's say it's a gem that gives you an ability. The scales fit onto a new special armor slot on the UI. So it's just an extra thing that you equip, I guess. Or if you want to think of it as in the Shadowlands context, think of it as opening the Covenant UI, and then you know how you select each of your soul binds instead of 3. I guess there's going to be these 5 things, and then you just choose the one that you do, and then ta-da, it activates a thing. That's kind of dull, at least on the surface here. Obviously, though, he's not going to give a bunch of details, and he left that last line here to tie himself with. Of course, there are new dungeons. Everyone is especially excited about the Ravenous Fold, a descent into the old god temple at the center of the Agadian Stone's zone. Imagine jumping into the Salak Pit from Star Wars, but it's full of exhaust tentacles, and there's a major lore surprise at the bottom. Well, yeah, I can imagine that. It was just like Crucible of Storms, right? You jumped in, you went into like the temple at the end of like the original dungeon or whatever. You fought a thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, you fall into a thing, and there we go. This is pretty much a rip from Crucible of Storms. So, yeah, I guess everyone's really excited about that. One thing I can say is that the team has been having a lot of fun working on RDI. That's great. After Shadowlands, it has been awesome to make stuff on Azeroth again, and RDI really feels like a, in bold, Warcraft expansion, if that makes sense. Totally. I totally get the projection here. I'm kind of expecting this to get lost in the flood of fake leaks right now, and that's fine, ... I look forward to people coming back to it when the expansion is announced. This guy is really, like I said, really positive and cheeky for someone who had just, left for whatever reason they feel like, right? But the energy coming from this person feels awkward. It's an awkward energy that kind of turns me off. I mean, a lot of this stuff feels plausible though. A lot of things here, they kind of like slide and sort of fit together, but there are certain things like with the Dragonflight lore, the relationship between Sylvanas and Tyrande, that doesn't sell me. Anyone that says player housing, I'll just eat up. That's like automatic for me. And I think that is, I think that's the second one. So I'll give this one I think this one gets a 5. This one gets a 5, maybe a 5.5 if I wanna, give it a little bit more credit. But I believe for now, that is gonna be it for episode 2 of League Season. I'm looking forward to seeing more. I'm really looking forward to when things really start heating up and we start seeing pictures, vague footage, stuff that came from a cell phone cam, which would be really weird because everyone's working at home and you don't need to get like a sneaky cell phone cam or anything like that. You could just, these developers, they could just take a picture of like their screen and all that. Maybe that's why we're not quite seeing it, because of that. But I hope you enjoyed this one. Which one was your favorite so far? The first one or the second one? The very first one happened to be real, so that one doesn't count. But what did you think of these 2 leaks? Let us know in a comment below. Stay tuned for more episodes of League Season as they come. So we'll see how long it takes for the next episode to come. I'll wait till maybe there's like another 2, 3, or 4 to start really going through. But if you enjoyed yourself, please like the video, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you for the next thing. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.